Thank you, Bob. Dan's memory of Bob was always one that he's my friend and he's my teammate, and later on to be my coach. And we appreciate very much all the kind things that Bob has said about Dan, our son Dan. Tonight, as I represent our family, I'd like to recognize that Dan's brother, older brother, by 18 months, and his wife, David and Annette Helm, are here. We're grateful for their being here. And his sister, his only sister, Claudia, and her husband, John Hoagie, came from Lawrence, Kansas, to be here. And two of his very special friends who understand training, predecessor of Dan's at Pike, Tim and Paulette Friend, are also here. We're grateful for their presence. And it is my privilege to say thank you. Thank you for the selection committee, and thank you to Franklin College. Franklin meant a great deal to our son, as Bob has spoken. And as we think of our son Daniel Curtis Helm, this is a joyous occasion, and I don't want to in any way spoil it by any feeling of sadness, but I'm sure that you will understand our regret that Dan is not the one standing here to respond to say thank you to the committee and thank you to Franklin College. And as I think of what Dan would have said, everyone would agree that Dan is very quiet, and he would not. I asked Carrie how long I had, and I think I felt him say that as a minister, if you preach 20 minutes, there won't be anybody here when you finish for the other two very special people who are being recognized. So in cutting it down to the amount of space that I thought I had, unfortunately, 2/3 of what I had to say, Bob has already said. And so I say thank you, Bob, for the script. And I will try not to repeat it or to refer to it. But I think Dan would want to say thank you for at least 3 things. There'd be more. But I think he would want to say thank you for memories here at Franklin College. Good memories of good friends. He had so many guys, teammates, Phi Delt friends, and a lot of the other friends. He had good memories of these friends and his teammates. He always believed and taught being a team member. Now, he did score a lot of points, as you note by reading this. 60 points is sort of a lot of points in one game, isn't it? Especially when there's other people out there saying, no, don't do that. But he believed in being a teammate, and he would want to remember that he is thankful for that memory of good teammates and the faculty that helped make him. And he appreciated so much those who are the teachers, the faculty, and the administration here. And I might say that he probably would poke a little fun and say, well, I also remember playing the first basketball game in Spurlock Center. Bob referred to that. And just happened that he scored the first basket scored in Spurlock Center. And if I'm right, I think he could say I'm thankful because that's a record I don't think anyone could break. We're thankful for the memory of Dan being selected in his senior year to play on the Indiana College All-Star basketball team. They played the Ohio State College All-Stars. One was played in the Ohio State Stadium. We watched that game. One was played here in Indiana. We watched that. And we think that he represented Franklin well as being one of only two that were not Big Ten or Notre Dame schools. He did represent Franklin very well. Related to that, I have in my study at home, I have a picture of the then Indianapolis Mayor, Richard Lugar, presenting a key to the city of Indianapolis for his achievement as one of the All-Stars from Indiana. The second thing I think that Dan would, and our family would like to say thank you for, is for Franklin College's part in helping prepare him for his future positive impact. Franklin made a difference on basketball teams, on young people in Belgium, at Juniata College, Pike High School. And I remember when we went over to Belgium one time to watch some of Dan's games that he said, we're going over to dinner tonight with a friend. We got over to, this was in Brussels, to a friend, and it was the coach of the University of Brussels basketball team who'd watched Dan play, and he thought, maybe I'll contact him and see if he has some suggestions that he might make about our team. And he contacted Dan, and Dan said, well then, if I have time, and I'm a long way from home, and I probably have some, I'll come over and watch. And this man that we'd never known, who invited us to a marvelous dinner, sort of like this tonight, except they do it in courses, I think about 7 of those. Every time we got through with one, I thought we're through, and then they would come with another one. That's Brussels style. But Dan had that impact on the lives of people that I wouldn't have known, but we had dinner there. They just wanted to say thank you to the parents of Dan who had helped them. Well, Franklin helped prepare Dan to meet other people. And he always looked for people who were not exactly like him to be their friend. He did that at Franklin, and he did that throughout and after that. The principal of Pike High School, in announcing to the students about Dan's untimely death, said that if students would like to write a letter to the family, a card, or a note telling them what he meant to them, she would put it all together in a notebook and give it to the family for their encouragement. Well, when we got that and read it, it brought tears to our eyes in meeting people we would never have met. Some of them were typed on were done on a computer. Some of them were handwritten. But I think I'll never forget one student who wrote a poem. And each stanza ended with these words, I call him my gentle giant. Well, he was 6 foot tall, 6'7". And so I just stood, I was sort of like under his arms, because I'm only 6. My gentle giant. He was a tall person, made it closer to get to the basket, but he was a gentle giant in spirit. And as Bob has mentioned, the year after Dan's death, Pike High School did build that new athletic training center. If you go to a football game, you'll pass it, and you'll see the Daniel C. Helm Athletic Training Center. He's already said what President Metzler, he already told you what President Metzler said about what this would mean to his students and to those who followed him. And then a third thing, we want to thank Franklin College, President Mosley, the administration. we want to thank Franklin College that another Franklin College graduate lived out the school's goals of producing young women and men for positions of service in their own world. Their time, not mine, in their time. If there was time, I would speak of other chapters in his life, for he had a love for life. He had a love for his family. He had a love for his friends. He loved kids. He loved his students. And he loved animals and had lots of them. So our family says to each of you, thank you for your part in each of these areas.